Good evening and welcome to the Revere School Committee of the whole meeting. Today is September 21, 2021. It is currently 5:05 and roll call please.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Here.
Mr. D'Ambrosio,
Here.
Mr. Ferranti,
Here.
Mrs. Gravellisi,
Here.
Mr. Sinella,
Present.
Ms. Ty,
Here.
Mayor Arrigo.
Okay, thank you. First item on the agenda is the consent calendar. We'll start off with approval of the minutes. Anyone have any questions on the minutes that were sent to us earlier? Seeing none, we will move on to warrants. Mr. Ferranti?
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Bristol. Diane, on page 1, number 33, it says Mass Association of, looks like Schedule BU, other costs. I just want to know what the other costs are.
So that's school, I'm imagining that that's the Mass Association of School Business Officials, which is the group that Matt Cruz is part of.
Okay.
And that's membership fee for his participation with that group.
And the next one, for Nick's bill, is that for 1 month, the 32,000?
I would have to look at the bill, but I believe it is, yes.
All right, on page...
Can I ask what bill you're referring to?
Legal bill. It represents us.
On Larry,
well,
line 34.
Okay, thank you.
I know, yeah. Page 2, 75 and 76, WB Mason, the whiteboards and desks. I just want to know what school that's for, Diane. Any idea?
And I will show you the school codes, but I don't. If Matt was here, he would know. I can look that up.
Okay. On page 4, 115 Business Copy Association and 116 Boston Business. And they say copy maintenance, but we have leases. Are the leases, is the maintenance included in the lease?
Yes, so those would be part of the lease package for those machines to be serviced.
Even though we pay them every month.
I believe these are the fees for those machines.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my last one on page 7, number 231, J. Marchese and Sons Sidewalk Repairs, West Revere. Was that at the, I assume at the school, at the Whale and SBA?
I believe it's that crumbling of the sidewalks that was supposed to be curbs.
On Newhall Street or on,
I think it, all around the front of the building, of the whole West Revere complex.
Okay.
I think my question to add on to him is that, does the city pay back on that? Where it's,
Yes, and I can ask Matt to check that origination number, but that would be part of the city's costs that they pay for upkeep of the buildings and the maintenance that comes through on Schedule 19.
all right, thank you, I'm all set.
Ms. Ty? Microphone?
Thank you. Page 1. Down at the bottom, No Tears Learning, number 39. I think a lot of people would be happy to see that we buy handwriting practice books, since that's a complaint I get from so many different people, that they can't write, they can't do cursive, they're never going to be able to read anything. So, Dr. Kelly, is that for one specific school or for a specific program? Is it voluntary, or what is the extent?
I believe that that is for the Paul Revere School, but I can verify that.
I knew that the
Yeah.
Paul Revere did have it. I just thought that at that price, perhaps somebody else did too. And not a question, but an observation, because page 5, number 170, I think people will be happy, because this has been an issue in the past, that the life support systems, the AED maintenance, that we are certainly prepared for any emergency. God forbid we should have to ever use them, although we certainly have had to use them at times. And So I'm glad to see. Is that done every single year in the beginning of the year?
It is, so that we have multiple AED machines in every school building, and they are required, almost like we do with fire extinguishers, to be inspected and updated at least annually, so that's part of
Wonderful.
that program.
Thank you. No more questions.
Anyone else? I just have one on line item number 73 and line item number 74. Just a question what National Association SE membership is.
I believe that's the National Association of Secondary Educators, and that is a group that Dr. Perella and Dr. Mulligan are both part of.
Okay, last call for questions on warrants. We don't have any financial reports this month, and no food service financials, and no communications. I believe we do have a late communication. Mr. D'Ambrosio?
Yes, absolutely, thank you. This is a letter from, am I allowed to say the name?
Yes.
All right, Miss Marika Lamba, dated September 15th, 2021. I will not read the whole letter because it's quite long, but I will read some critical points. Dear school committee members, my son currently attends Revere High School and I have some questions and concerns regarding the mask mandate policy. Last school year, we dealt with the mask since we thought it would be temporary, assuming no one would wear them anymore since the vaccine became available. Now it continues regardless. The school has never provided parents with information as to the effectiveness and risks associated with the child wearing a mask for 8 hours every school day. I do not agree that the school should make it common practice to decide if a student wears a mask or not. This decision should be left up to parents. Each child-teen is unique and parents need to discuss any protocol with their doctor. It goes on to list a few statistics. She goes on to say, I have also reached out to the Board of Health to see what they are using to base their mandate recommendations on. As with any protocol, parents should be informed of all the risks associated with their child wearing a mask for 8 hours a day, every school day. She then goes on to provide her contact information and her address. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. D'Ambrosio. Enrollment update. We have an attachment. Dr. Kelly?
Thank you. We did provide a more recent update to our enrollment. This is as of, it's actually as of Friday. I know it has today's date on it, but that was because this was being presented today, or they were printed today. But the numbers were updated at the end of last week. And we really are pleased. I mean, the Paul Revere continues to be a spacing problem there where we can't really reduce the class sizes by adding another teacher because there are no rooms to put additional teachers in. And so they have some class sizes that are up in the 28, 29 range, which is where we were hoping to decrease from. But I'm very pleased that at the rest of the schools and even at other grade levels at the Paul Revere, our numbers are closer to 20 or 22. And at the kindergarten level, we're almost entirely below 20. We have 3 classrooms where we've hit the 20 mark, but other than that, they're all in the teens. So we've seen significant improvement over in our enrollment numbers, or in our class size numbers, I should say, and that is due in large part to the increased staffing that the school committee budgeted for this year. It's also due in part to a slight decrease in our enrollment, but for the most part, it's because of the increased staffing and the ability to add additional classrooms where we had much larger class size last year and previously.
Any questions for Dr. Kelly? Mr. Ferranti?
Thank you, Mrs. Rizzo. Diane, my only question is that the total, and I know we really can't count last year for what happened, but 2 years ago, is that number substantially less than it was 2 years ago?
Well, the total number that you see on this sheet, the 7138, does not include our outplaced students. So our total number is actually higher than this. But relative to, if we look back at 2019 at these particular worksheets, it's in the same neighborhood. It is slightly lower, but it's lower by about 60, 65 students, not by several hundred, which you might have the impression of right now because it's not counting all of the kids that we have at outplay schools.
How many children do we have in the outplay schools? Approximately.
We can get back to you on that.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions regarding enrollment? Okay, moving on. Anyone have any concerns, comments, personal items? Seeing none, we have no donations to accept, and unfortunately, we continue to have no school field trips. So,
I'm sorry, Stacy, can I just
Mr.
ask one question on
sure,
the,
Mr.
the leave
Franti?
date? Diane, on the leave of absence, I think we have the same girl's name 3 times, Lisa Hart.
Yes, that was.
Unless we have
that's-
3 Lisa Harts.
That was a typo, but I
Okay.
believe it's been corrected in the hard copy that Robin left for us all today.
And my only other question, new hires number 12, assistant principal at the Garfield School. Who left that we hired somebody else?
That was Mr. Tyler Arlington, who took the job closer to home. He'd been commuting from the Cape. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any last minute questions on the consent calendar? And do we have a motion to accept the consent calendar on the floor?
I'll make a motion.
So,
second
motion by Ms. Ty, second by, that guy, Michael Ferranti. Okay, moving on to number 2, staff sick time and accrued reports. We're gonna do it on the floor, consent?
So one thing that I wanted to make the committee aware of, and you should have received an email from me earlier this week, that we did discover a discrepancy in our attendance calculation system, and what we have figured out is that it had not been deducting from a person's tally any days that they were putting into the sick bank, we believe over the last 3 years. Jonathan Ferrara is working with the person who he happens to know, who created that program some number of years ago, in order to do a more comprehensive audit and make sure that we have it exactly right before we make any changes. It did record when people gave a day to the sick bank. It just didn't deduct that from the number that said how many sick days they had left. So they're working on that and making sure that they have a comprehensive understanding of the issue, and then we will correct that. But I wanted to make sure the committee was aware of that in case you were hearing from any constituents on that matter.
Ms. Ty?
Dr. Kelly, is this a one-year problem, or has it been going on for any number of years?
We believe it's been happening for 3 years. But Jonathan is going to get a more definitive audit to determine and make sure that 3 is the correct number.
Thank you.
Stacy, one question? Thank you. Diane, I mean, it's hard to say, but is it affecting a lot of people, or is it just a few, you think?
Well, I think that there are quite a few people who are engaged in the sick banks,
Okay.
so it would be a number of people. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 3, something I'm excited about, our website launch plans.
Yes, very
Yeah.
exciting. So as you know, we did launch our new website a couple of weeks ago. I think it was 2
September
weeks ago.
7th.
Yep. And I have to thank Paul Amato and Committeewoman Rizzo and Danielle Mokaba, who did the vast majority of the work on that. The site is now live, and Paul Amato and our communications director, Ann Bartholomew, has been working on cleaning up the website, getting old content down, putting fresh content up. I know Ann is meeting with the principals on Friday, and they're going to be working on updating the school pages and making sure that's all looking good and everything is tight on the site. And her plan is to launch a scavenger hunt on October 15th. And it's it's going to be a contest. There'll be a prize for adults and a prize for children. And the idea is to help people have a reason to engage with the website so that then they'll learn a little bit about how to navigate the website and hopefully be able to use that as a more consistent resource going forward. So we just wanted to kind of foreshadow what is coming, and we're hoping to launch that around October 15th. I believe our next school committee meeting is shortly thereafter. So we'll be able to share an update at that time.
I really do want to give a huge shout out to Paul Amato, who's behind our closed doors now taping this. He had to spend many hours paring down the school sites so that there are less repetitive links to it. Also took down one of my biggest pet peeves that I've been asking for years. Thank you, Paul, so much. You made an old lady very happy. And a lot of the dead links. So, you know, it's still a work in progress, but right now, aesthetically pleasing to the eye, the website is, and easier to maneuver. And I'm also hoping that along with October's Fun Day, we can also have a webinar to address the navigation piece, also updating the school committee site so that people know what we are about, or what our roles are about, and also our policies. And the good news about that is yesterday, Robin and I did get a link to say that our policies are ready to be uploaded. We have the link. We just got to make sure that Ann and Paul, when they have a minute, if they can do it. And again, a small work in progress, but we are really aiming for 2022. We are just on top of things, Revere Public Schools. So thank you, Paul Amato. Definitely thank you to Danielle and everyone who's agreed and has already taken the time to look at it. It's been a pleasure. And then, does anyone have any comments, questions about our regular meeting agenda? Wow, I am so impressed that we're all ready for our meeting. Well, at this point, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Michael Ferranti, second by Susan Gravellisi, and we will come together again at 6 p.m. for our regular Revere School Committee meeting. Thank you.